Pat Leonard, New York Daily News, Giants beat writer, getting ready for the Monday Nighter tonight, the Detroit Lions against the Giants at MetLife. And good morning, Pat. We appreciate a few minutes. Roger Weiland, Chris Honorado here in Albany.
Roger and Chris, thanks for having me. Yeah, getting ready for a Monday Nighter. 2 prime times to start the year. Love it.
Yeah, and
Do you mean that? Do you mean you love prime time? That makes tough for deadline writing.
It does make it tough. You usually got to write an early story for the early newspaper too. The good news is, everyone's eyes are on the game. Sometimes that can help you identify things you're looking for. Sometimes it puts too many cooks in the kitchen, but it makes for a fun game.
So write one with Odell in the game and with Odell out the game. Make something up, and maybe it'll all fit. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Everyone has their gut on what's going to happen with Odell tonight because it's clearly a game time decision. What's your gut tell you about Odell tonight?
I don't think he's playing. That's just my opinion and my educated guess, I guess, based on following them all week and, being there when he got hurt and the injury. But I think that the Giants are doing everything they can to try and accommodate him because he wants to play. And I think they obviously need a spark after 3 points in Dallas. So if he's physically able, they would definitely dress him and have him ready to go. But, even this week, their 2 heaviest practices, he was still only limited, which means that even if he responded well physically, he wasn't able to give it a full go. We saw him jumping but not really landing on his left leg, which is the leg in question. So, imagine Odell Beckham being on the field but not being able to use one leg to full strength. That is his skill set. He's fast, he can cut, he makes those types of moves, and he puts himself in harm's way over the middle a lot. So I just don't see a reason to risk it. But, again, the Giants have to be tempted by what they did last week.
I'm with you, Pat. And look, you have much better intel than me. I just feel like 2 games into the season, if he's not 100%, I don't see him going out there. I'll ask the obvious one. How much of this do we think can be tied back to the contract situation? In other words, had he already gotten a big payday, do you think he's more likely to go out there tonight, even though he isn't maybe 90%?
No, I don't think that factors in. I think Odell is a lot of things that you could either perceive as or view as negative, but his work ethic and his desire to play and help his teammates win isn't one of them. He's always trying his hardest to be on the field. I never question that. And I don't think that he would sit out just to make a point as far as his value.
Mm-hmm.
I think his regular season value has been established. I would rather he stayed out of the clubs. Last week it was reported that he was dancing with Russell Westbrook, and this is the same week he can't play in a game. Now, he downplayed it, but those are the decisions I view as more connected to his value and contract rather than, whether or not he wants to play. In fact, the best read on this situation as far as whether he can go or not is that, especially in week 1, it's basically like all the people around Odell, like from the people who represent him to the Giants, they want to exercise caution. He's the one driving the no, I can play. So they're trying to kind of toe the line there. Probably benefits the Giants to force the opponent to think as long as possible that he will play too. But frankly, I don't think that. I think he's going to make his money one way or the other. It's just a question of what he does off the field more than on it at this point.
Pat Leonard with us, New York Daily News, Giants beat writer, Giants Lions tonight. Pat, how about a win tonight? Because if they don't win tonight, they go to 0-2. That's never good. And then Philadelphia next week where they've lost 3 in a row, and then Tampa the following week. How about the importance of even without Odell tonight that they win this game?
Very important. And I know the rest of the division is all 1-1 now, and the Cowboys got blasted by Denver yesterday, but I don't really care about that at this moment just because the Giants, look, they have a schedule that is just unrelenting. They're going to Philadelphia after this. The Eagles played the Chiefs really tough and have a great pass rush. And look at how all these teams are playing on the Giants' schedule. At Denver, at Oakland, home against the Chiefs. I really don't like the Giants digging themselves a hole again, even if no one in the division is 2-0 and you would technically be able to climb out of it, I think that maybe if this isn't a must-win, it definitely has the feel of it, and I think the Giants have to treat it that way because they're really not. They're really going to be up against it in the middle of their schedule with all the travel and their opponents. I will say the one thing I feel favorable about is the fact I was just watching back Detroit's Week 1 win over Arizona, and of course they turned it on big in the second half, and that's why they won. But boy, were they sloppy in the first half. I mean, they played a half of football and special teams that I've never seen a team play. They had a botched extra point snap, a bad snap on a punt. They had Dwayne Washington run backwards to catch a kickoff 2 yards deep or 8 yards deep in the end zone and bring it out and get tackled at the 7. I think the Giants, if that's how the Lions are going to come out and make these mistakes, the Giants can make them pay.
I'll also say this. If the Giants tonight put up, 3 points, 6 points, lose this game, Odell does not play, we'll be hammering on Ben McAdoo, won't we?
Absolutely. And maybe even Eli Manning, depending on how he plays. But the fact is, the offensive line has been a huge issue. Jerry Reese deserves a lot of criticism for that, not addressing that in the offseason. But McAdoo, in Week 1, after this loss in Dallas, I'm sitting there next to Sterling Shepard, and he's saying, yeah, they played a lot more zone than man than we expected. This is the same as last year when Victor Cruz was saying, yeah, when teams play cover 2 against us and they take away the top deep threat, it's making it really difficult on us. It's really hard to hear players say that a base defense is flummoxing their play calling and their strategy. And that falls on McAdoo. His play calling needs to be better. They need to establish the run. But McAdoo, as a head coach calling the plays, he needs to take a hard look. He had a lot of time to prepare for that Week 1 game in Dallas. And between Reese not addressing the line and McAdoo not having plays that worked, and that's how they ended up with 3 points, which is completely unacceptable.
Hey, Pat, I'll ask the question between kind of like the middle schoolers here. Well, why doesn't Ben McAdoo like Eli Manning? Some of his comments, I just think to myself, man, this is your franchise quarterback. And I get there's a certain extent of it to challenge Eli to be better. But sometimes when McAdoo has to, I guess, quote unquote, blame somebody for what's going on, the blame immediately goes to Eli Manning.
I totally agree with you, and I try to point it out when I see it because McAdoo puts a lot of thought into everything he does and says. Like when he comes to the podium after the games, a lot of times he takes a little while to compose his thoughts to make sure he knows what he wants to say. Same thing with practices. He continually avoids blame as far as play calling and the offense. And whether it's right after the game or whether it's during the week when he's talking to his website, he kind of throws in little digs at things he didn't like from Manning. Now, look, my take on Eli is this. He's never been a great week-to-week quarterback. Mm-hmm. He just never has been. Eventually, will he lose his, some zip on his fastball and it'll be time to move on? Of course. Do I know whether that's now or in the future? No. But he's always been a guy who works out of the pocket, turns the ball over sometimes, but makes some big plays in other times, and knows how to win when the brightest lights come on. So just because Eli makes a few mistakes doesn't mean now the entire offense's problems are on his shoulders. Now, last year at the beginning of the year, I thought it was almost going overlooked how poorly Eli was playing. So believe me, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve some of it, but even look at the last drive. Like, listen to McAdoo talking about how Eli needs to be patient when they're down in the second half at Dallas,
right,
and push the ball down the field. Or instead of pushing the ball down the field, he's saying, we got to check down. Well, look at what happened there. Eli tries to push the ball down the field. Yes, he gets intercepted. But then, with a couple of minutes left, they're down 2 scores. Collinsworth was even criticizing the Giants on the broadcast. What are they doing? Checking the ball down 7 yards every play, and the clock's running out. Well, if you listen to what McAdoo is saying, he's saying that he prefers that. So I don't know which way to go. It's like you're mad at the quarterback for taking a shot, but you're not calling the plays to get guys open down the field. So then when you're down 2 scores, maybe with a chance to score and get an onside kick, you're checking down to move the ball down the field and the clock runs out. So I don't really follow his logic.
And this is also the same Eli Manning who gave Ben McAdoo a big thumbs up when Tom Coughlin was shown the door, who's going to step up and support the hiring of McAdoo, it was Eli Manning in a big way. So interesting to see how this. All right, what's your prediction on tonight, Pat? And let's assume that Odell is not on the field.
I think the Giants lose tonight. I think that I think a lot of people look at last year when I think the Lions only scored 6 points in December. And I think they assume that the Giants are going to be able to shut them down again, but I disagree. I think the Lions are going to force some turnovers. I think Odell's not going to play. The Giants are going to struggle to run the ball. And, I think Kenny Golladay, this rookie receiver, is a big guy. He's going to be tough, and I'm worried about Janoris Jenkins. I mean, he should play, but he was downgraded yesterday to questionable with an ankle and a hand. And, if the Giants are shorthanded at all or Jack Rabbit's not 100%, I think the Lions might have their way. But I think the Giants lose this game. I'll take Detroit 20-13.
Wow.
Pat, do issues get fixed if once Beckham is healthy? I mean, we all were thinking the Giants can win this division. They can make a deep run in the playoffs. Yeah. And I get it. They looked really bad against Dallas. But does Beckham's presence and threat, does he fix some of what's ailing them?
I mean, last year he did. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't to a certain extent when he comes back this year. I mean, a lot of those wins last year when they were close were the offense doing nothing most of the game, the defense playing lights out, and then Odell making a huge play somewhere in the third or fourth quarter. And I think we'll see that again once he gets healthy. I just wonder, I think Odell doesn't want to play. Like, he played his rookie year basically under 100% the whole time. He had the 2 hamstring tears. He missed the first 4 games, and even though he came back, played the rest of the season, and had 91 catches and set records, he still was never 100%. And I think he's fighting in his mind right now. He wants to come back, but he doesn't want to go the whole season below 100% because the Giants need him that much too. So, yes, I do think Odell will help cure that. I just worry about, like you mentioned, McAdoo. I worry about him and the play calling in the offense specifically because a lot of these concerns and offensive woes were happening last year, even with Beckham on the field. So the Giants definitely need an early win here, though, to start feeling better about themselves. And they need to be respectable going into the toughest part of their schedule midseason.
Pat Leonard, New York Daily News. Thanks for a few minutes here on this Monday morning on Big Board Sports.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Take care.